Hey everyone. I hope you're all doing great. Happy Monday. Um, I'm wondering how you guys are all doing. The month of August has been interesting to say the least. This has been a Mercury retrograde for the books, so I'm curious to know from you guys in the live chat how you've been handling it. I would say, all in all, this August has been all right for me. Definitely very active, very busy, definitely reviewing and having to go back over a lot of things that are Mercury's running through my chart. But I will say, I feel like so far things have been really good, although something tells me this week I may not escape so well. But anyways, I hope you're all doing well. Hi, Anika. So today I want to share with you guys some information on the use of sacred sites and to power up your healing journey with a potential miraculous healing event. And this is something that I talked about over the weekend at this online summit that I spoke at. And I realized I can't believe I've never shared this with my audience because this is really powerful information. And so I want to make sure you guys get it because I always love to share this stuff because you guys might be able to utilize it in your own healing journey if you're ever feeling called to make a pilgrim to a sacred site or a power spot somewhere on earth. However, there are some key things that help facilitate a miraculous healing event. It's not just about showing up to the location. That's part of it, but there are 4 things that you want to be looking at and making sure that you've accounted for to really get the most out of your potential healing experience. And so I'm going to definitely take you through the information on that. And then I'm going to share my story with you and show you utilizing some of the techniques that ancient civilizations used and many other people in the past to really power up and amplify the effects of these locations on Earth so that they could have a healing miracle. All right. Hey, Stephanie. Hi, Emily. Are we a mother yet, Emily? I need to know. Oh, please tell me. So let me start off first by like just kind of talking about this idea of what the sacred sites are. When we think about these different areas on the planet, they're usually source points of particular energy frequencies, and they will absolutely enhance your well-being. One of the ways that you'll know is if you've ever been to a place where it's stirred up some very deep emotions within you, then you know you've been to a power place. Even if, say, it's not on a particular list of this planet, people saying, oh, this is a sacred spot, this is a sacred spot. Like, for instance, when I went to Bali, as I was traveling through the town, like the village of Ubud and the surrounding areas, I remember taking a tour, like a bicycle tour, where we got to go through the different rice paddies and things like that. And there was one stop that they took us by this really big banyan tree. And it was massive. Like, I mean, I can't, maybe like, I want to say at least 10 to 12 feet in radius. Is that right? Yeah, radius. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here. Because diameter, like the circumference is the total way around. Is the diameter the full? Oh my God. Okay. So anyways, I just remember that it was big and I could walk literally into the inside of the tree. So there was an opening there and I walked in and I remember putting my hands on the bark. And as soon as I did, I was overwhelmed with all of this emotion. My heart opened up and just tears streaming down my face. That was a source point, a very powerful spot on earth that I know a lot of people had been to and prayed at. Speaking of, I just want to say, because I meant to mention this I meant to mention this at the beginning. Guys, I am launching my first ever healing mastermind container, and I'm literally launching it tonight. So doors are officially open. They're going to close on August 31st. So if you're interested in learning how to be a part of my mastermind, if you're looking for big healing transformation, just email me or DM me on Instagram. The word mastermind, and I'll just send you a link so you can learn more about it. Okay. Because it's going to be a powerful, powerful healing container that I know can change a lot of your lives. So going back to this idea of going to these actual spots to get that major healing transformation, it's where you're going to definitely feel the emotion stirring, right? We are very highly emotional beings, and that's one of the ways that makes us so powerful. That's how we can actually literally change our reality, is through our ability to feel so much. So the higher energy at these spots actually speeds up the transformational process within us, and it helps us connect to a much deeper awareness in our own bodies and in our own souls. So what actually makes these sites sacred is the fact that there is a power at these sites that has been recognized by many people before us, all the way through ancient civilizations. And they would realize that these spots held power. And so therefore, they would either build sacred structures there, or they would leave stones so that others who were traveling could find the spot. Now, there's 4 things that are going to assist anyone in receiving a healing miracle when attending anywhere that is a power spot. And I want to say, just so you guys know, this doesn't mean you have to travel to, I don't know, Egypt or Machu Picchu or, I don't know, anywhere that is considered a power spot. Like, yes, of course, you're definitely I know so many people that get activated at these places, but one of the spots for me is in Breckenridge. It's like, I don't know if you guys remember back in 2020 when I had a massive awakening experience where I had all of this energy stir up one night as I was listening to the running water of a rushing river by my window. And because of it, I saw an apparition of a shaman standing in the water. And this just completely activated my entire sacral chakra. I was overwhelmed with so much energy, and it really showed me that this particular area is a very sensitive area for me to do healing at, which is why I host my retreats in Breckenridge. There's a reason why I do it. I know it's a power spot, and because it's activated for me, that I can help facilitate for anyone who's coming to the retreat. So this doesn't mean that you have to travel like all the way around the world to find a power spot. You guys will know there's probably, especially if you live in Sedona or, anywhere, there's in different forests and deserts and things like that, you will find them. So the 4 things that you need to really focus on: 1, the influences of earth, right? So we know there's ley lines that can power that up. There's sometimes if there's an underwater, like if underground, there's like a water, I don't know, it could be a lake. It could be some kind of spring that is underground. It can power up that spot. It could be the pyramids. It could be a whole host of different things where the power of that energy spot is very, very significant. What will amplify that spot further are 3 things. 1, the ancients knew that the influence of celestial events, or cycles, I should say, would definitely amplify the spot at different times of the year. So for instance, we know that at the Mayan pyramids, right? We know that the equinox, those particular times when the sun is setting at a certain time, is a huge time for amplification. So celestial cycles were known to amplify the energies of sacred sites. Specifically though, the sun and the moon. Doesn't mean that other planets wouldn't have a role, but the sun and the moon were absolutely one of the 2 bigger power structures in the sky. We also know that if certain sites have been built upon, certain structures would absolutely amplify the spot as well. So again, pyramids, temples, where people would pray at, just the sacred geometry of certain things could absolutely, if you build in a certain way, could absolutely amplify the spot. So you also want to pay attention to the structures at those sacred sites. And then what, of course, is absolutely paramount is the intention of the human who's going. So your intent has a great influence on your healing journey. So for instance, every time I do either it's an ayahuasca journey or a mushroom journey, I will always make sure that my intention is crystal clear, and I have been using that intention to power me up in a frequency so that when I get there, my intention and my energy frequency is so aligned with what I want for my healing journey, right? So when you take all four of these things and you add it together, this is how miracles are possible at these sites. So, oh, wait, I got to pause here for a second. Emily, she was born on August 4th at 11:35 p.m. Oh, you got yourself a little Leo. That's so awesome. Congratulations, sweetie. I'm so happy for you. I still remember, this is just a very brief little side note. I still remember when we called your pregnancy in your reading. That is so cool. Okay. Just a little congratulations, everyone, to Emily there. So I want to show you guys how I both intentionally and unintentionally, when I say unintentionally, I mean my higher self was orchestrating this on my behalf, which can happen, especially if it's a very fated event that is meant to happen in your life, okay? Some of us will have these fated, miraculous events, and others of us may need to orchestrate it a little more on our end. And so it doesn't matter if it's fated or not, all are important. But I want to show you guys how I was able to facilitate this. So my miraculous healing event happened when I went to the Tulum Mayan ruins, January 2019. And as many of you know, that time I had held a spiritual conference on a cruise with a few other people. We had organized it. And I had organized the event to go to the Tulum ruins. Now, I will say that I was originally going to go to Chichen Itza, but it was a 5-hour drive, which made it not very logical timing-wise for everyone, since we had a limited amount of time to get on and off the ship. But someone in the group really wanted to go to the Tulum Mayan ruins, and she really voiced that. And I was like, yeah, let's go to the Tulum Mayan ruins. So in a way, her speaking up was also speaking to the guidance of, I need to go to the Tulum ruins. Now, I always knew that I wanted to go to some sort of Mayan ruin or site. I just wasn't sure which one. So in a way, I was naturally just organically guided there. Now, what is really important which is also really interesting about the synchronicities of everything, because if celestial events or cycles are a big part of how the ancient civilizations had utilized these sites to power up their own healing, then I would imagine timing is a big part of it, right? Naturally. So when I look at the timing of certain things, for instance, that were Mayan related for me. So in 2009, January 9th, 2009, I got my one and only tattoo that is right here on my left rib cage. And it is the Mayan Hunab Ku, also known as the galactic butterfly, which is why if you're in my Alchemy Discord, that's what my name is in there. And so I remember I went to get this tattoo on January 9th, 2009. And I had asked for the artist to feminize the the symbol a little because it was a little too boxy for me. And I go, I want it to be a little more feminine. I'm kind of moving into this feminine era. I just started to really move through this, I'm trying to start loving myself and soften my energy and stuff. So, and I had it put on the left side because the left side of the body is the feminine side and also the spiritual side. So lo and behold, 10 years later and 10 days later, I am visiting this Mayan ruins site on January 19th, 2019. So 10 years, as we know, is the completion, right? Because you've completed a cycle and you're now starting back at 1. So I thought that was a really interesting little synchronicity because I sure as heck could have never planned that on my own. It's not like I would have structured that in. So that was really interesting. And so, okay, I'm going to show you guys something. I want to show you, as you guys know, I was going down there for a womb healing. That is something that my reproductive area has been the thing that has plagued me my entire life since I was 20, when I first found out that I had abnormal cells on my cervix, which eventually way down the road in my, I guess in my late 30s, early 40s, had turned to black spots, precancer, if not cancerous cells, which of course really freaked me out. And I went through this up and down phase with them where they would start to heal. They would go from low grade to high grade to low grade to high grade. And so it's kind of like this to completely normal. So it was like kind of this back and forth journey. So going there, I had just come off the heels. 3 months earlier, I had a miscarriage. And so I was feeling really sad and really down about just being a woman and the possibility that I may not be able to be a mother one day. And so I really was working on a lot of stuff that had been coming up on how to heal this whole area so that I could still have that as a possibility. So I'm going to show you guys, first I want to show you celestial timing and how to use it for yourself. Okay. So this is my birth chart. And this is, my ascendant is at 9 degrees here of Cancer. So there's a couple things I'm just going to show you here, and then I'm going to show you the astrological chart for when I was in Tulum. So, and this is something that you guys can utilize too, especially if you know how to do astrology, or at least you can ask someone to help you coordinate who does know how to read astrology. But I'm going to show you how it works. So my ascendant, which is who I am, right? Like this is who I'm born into this world as a Cancer ascendant, which means everything about me is ruled by the moon. The moon is a very important luminary for me because it rules my first house, which is my identity. It rules all aspects of me, right? Because your relationships, your money, like all that can be covered in your first house, your health. So that's important to note. I also want you to take a look at my 5th house, which rules children and pregnancies. Okay. And that is ruled by, that's a Scorpio house. Now it's traditionally ruled by Mars, but also by Pluto. And then I want you to look at my 12th house, which is Gemini, and the ruling planet of that is Mercury. Okay. So knowing that, let me just flip back over to the one here so you can see the Tulum. Oops, wrong one. Hold on a second here. Okay. So this is the chart of the day and time, the literal down to the minute of when I was in front of the temple that I went to. So there was a fertility temple at the Mayan ruins that our guide had taken us to. Now I want to be very clear. I did not know that there was a fertility temple there. I just knew that because I had been getting intuitive messages that I was going to, there was a possibility to receive a healing on my womb just being on the land. I didn't know that there was an actual temple there. And so when we actually got to the temple, And he said this is a fertility temple that women in the past would come to when they were having trouble conceiving or giving birth, that they would have the ability to, it's like they would finally get their ability to do all those things. So they would get some kind of healing. So as he's saying this, I'm looking up and there's a carving of a woman on the structure above the door in one spot. And it's a carving of a woman that's standing kind of almost like in a horse stance. You know, if you guys do yoga where the legs are kind of out like this. And coming from her vagina is a baby's head that's dropping out of her. And so it was just as soon as I saw that image, all of a sudden I got this stirring energy happening in my entire sacral chakra and root chakra. And it overwhelmed me so much. I had to grab onto my friend who was standing beside me, hold her arm, and I said, "Oh my God, don't let me fall." She's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know, but I am completely overwhelmed with the energy that's rushing through my belly right now." And so what happened is I received an incredible healing that when I talked to my intuitive healer when I got back, my guides had said that within 10 months, my entire womb space would be healed and I would be able to give birth again. And sure enough, 10 months later, I went to get a normal like pap test, which women do, right? And I was going there for something, a different reason. And so when I went there, she did the thing and she's like, "Okay, well, everything's fine, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Okay, but what about the black spots?" Right? And she said, "What do you mean? What black spots?" And I said, "No, like the black spots that are on my cervix, they're at 11 o'clock a.m. Oh my God, just as I say that and I look at the time of this chart, it's 11 a.m. Oh my God, that's freaky. That's freaky. Okay. So it was if you were to see the cervix as a clock, it was at 11 o'clock. Oh my God, that's so crazy. I just realized that right now. Okay. So she's like, "Well, good news is there are no spots there. So I guess you're okay." And I'm like, "What?" So that was like really wild. So here's what I'm going to show you from the chart of why the timing was so powerful and amplified my healing when I was there at this spot. So as you guys can see, the moon at the time, this was the day before a lunar eclipse in Leo. We had a full moon lunar eclipse in Leo the next day. So that was gearing up. So I was already in the energies of an eclipse about to happen, but the moon was still in Cancer. And look here, it's at 7 degrees, I don't know, like 30 minutes or so. It's within a degree or two of my my ascendant, which means, and again, remember, my ruling planet is the moon. So this was really amplifying me. Like the moon was really working with me. Now, why is this important as well? For what kind of healing I was doing? The moon represents the feminine. The moon specifically represents the mother energy. Okay. And so that was really lighting up my ascendant at the time that I was at this fertility temple. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that if we go across here to where the eclipse actually was going to be happening, okay, or not happening, but where we look at this is the position of Mercury and Pluto, okay, in Capricorn, which is important because Capricorn is my 7th house. The reason why this is important is because, and this is why, if you guys start to notice, I'm focusing a lot on emphasizing healing relationships. And yes, I've done a lot of physical healing of my body. I've done a lot of inner child work. I've done a lot for manifesting and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what I've noticed is that the best healing is amplified by healing through our relationships, which then because our body is going into disease or dysfunction or just out of balance, right? Because of disruptions in our relationships, relationship with yourself, relationship with your parents, relationship with friends, relationship with, a partner. Relationships are the key to healing. So when we know that, we understand that a lot of my issues with the reproductive area came from my disassociation of my relationship with women and my femininity, but also with men who had caused me trauma through sexual abuse, both as a child and as a teenager / adult. I want to say, 20, by my ex-boyfriend. I was raped. And so the fact that Mercury and Pluto were in my relationship house meant something. But here they are really close together. Okay, so Pluto rules my 5th house of Scorpio, which is of pregnancy, okay, and children. Mercury, very closely working with Pluto here because they're only a degree or so apart. Mercury rules my 12th house, which is Gemini down here, okay? The 12th house, as some of you may know, who've worked with me in like my Forbidden Journey programs or come to my retreat or anything like that, the 12th house is what I've designed a lot of my healing around, because the 12th house represents the place you were in before you were born, which is your mother's womb. The 12th house also represents where all of your deepest fears, your deepest shames, your deepest guilts, your deepest sadness, all of that lies in your 12th house. The 12th house, however, is also the house where it can either be what ruins you or what you transcend. So do you take your pain and turn it into purpose, or do you become a lifelong victim of it? Right? And so when I have the planet that rules my 12th house, also the spiritual womb, okay, and where I was right before I was born, working with the planet of death and rebirth and transformation that rules my 5th house of children and pregnancy, it really was fueled. There's this, and because they're not that far away from the sun, so the sun is still highlighting them. Yes, the sun's already gone over them, but still they're still activated by the sun here. So as you guys can see, this timing of celestial events, I would say the moon was probably the most important, but these two also worked in together to facilitate that by activating the right places in my chart for healing, because they work together. So they really formed a powerful duo. They teamed up together. So that is how I recognize that the celestial timing of my journey to the temple was amplified. And of course, it was also amplified by the fact that, one, it was a structure, it was a temple specifically designed for fertility, but then also my intention. I had been working on healing this for 3 months since the miscarriage. And so I was kind of gearing up for it, even though I didn't realize that's what I was gearing up for initially. I had already had that kind of healing in play. So do you guys see that? Like, does that make sense on how we can use like different power spots, different source points on the planet, utilize celestial timing, and then also utilizing not just our intention, but also the structures of the sites to amplify, whatever miraculous healing event you might be open to receiving. So again, one of the things, like when you prepare yourself, you're preparing yourself so that when you go, you're already in a place of surrender. Like your body is already prepped. Your mind is already prepped. Your heart is already prepped. Your entire existence is ready for it. And that is like what's really, really important. So, Oh, Stephanie, we were both born at the same time. Oh, you were born at 9:27 p.m. Yeah. Oh, Emily, please do DM me a picture. I would love to see. You were at the ruins in 2010. Okay. Hi, Lee. Good to see you. I am okay with the vaccine isn't in me anymore. So I completely transmuted that and dissolved it. It didn't really stand much of a chance, to be quite honest with you. And I haven't had any issues at all. So, let me see here. So anyway, this is the importance. And again, understanding how to use the sky. Again, this is why in Alchemy, I go over the celestial timing events like every month with everyone so that they can prepare and take note of how to use the energies. Like this is why Mary and I, when we do our full moon breakdown, that we're preparing you for the full moon events. And of course, we have a big Pisces full moon eclipse coming up on the 17th, 18th of September, which is when I'm holding my retreat. And again, like this is why, and I'm so lucky because this just seems to happen. Like the events always, like it's like my higher self always knows how to time events for massive healing. Sometimes like I do look in advance, but like I remember my first retreat, like I didn't realize that was going on until after I had booked the Airbnb for the actual event. And so knowing how successful that event was, I want to keep timing it with the moon cycles. Specifically, why do I work with the moon more predominantly is because the moon represents our dark night of the soul, right? When I read you guys the tarot cards and everything, like the sun is like full consciousness, sure, but the moon represents like the deepest, darkest parts of you, right? It's your deepest desires, your deepest needs. And of course, because I'm ruled by the moon, it amplifies my ability to heal more. I am very affected by all lunar cycles, because I'm a Cancer ascendant. And so this is why when we talk about, like, for instance, the full moon in Pisces, the reason why that's so powerful for this upcoming retreat is because Pisces is considered the 12th house of the zodiac. Like I just told you guys, what is the 12th house? It represents the womb space. It represents all of the darkest fears, the things that that haunt you, okay, that could be your undoing. But it is also where you find your hidden purpose, your hidden talents, your hidden strengths. It's where you find your power. And when you learn how to unlock all of that, which is what I do primarily through all my retreats, it's just like next level. And so it's just, and also, I mean, Pisces rules plant medicine. So hello, like it's just like amazing alignments. So this is why it's so important to really understand and utilize celestial timing. And it's why the ancients have used it forever, and why it's been made to be like a pseudoscience nowadays, so that we're out of alignment with it, so that people don't think it has a lot of importance, right? But it does. It really does. There's certain things that are just, you can literally predict. Like you may not be able to predict the exact event, but you can predict the energies for sure. So that's basically how you guys can use the sacred sites. And I think it's really important to stay open to that. Again, I want to say, if you're interested in joining my new mastermind that I'm kicking off in September, the doors have officially opened. If you want more information on it, then just email me or DM me on Instagram, the word mastermind, and I'll send you all the information so you can see if it's something you're aligned with. What else? Oh, I've got a podcast coming out tomorrow with the ET Whisperer. We're going to do some channeling and all that. So check that out tomorrow morning at 12 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Mountain Time for me. And I'm going to try and do all signs for you guys either Wednesday or Thursday. So big week this week. Big week. All right, everyone. So thanks for showing up. And Dennis and Up3, so good to see you as well. Guys, have an amazing amazing week. Mercury finally comes out of retrograde on Wednesday, the 28th. And so we can all get our devices back to normal, our cars back to normal, all that great stuff. So, however, it's an interesting week of events. So I don't know if we're necessarily completely out of the woods just yet, although I think it's much better than last week. So all that being said, guys, I love you. Have an amazing, amazing night, and I'll see you all really soon.